Hello everyone, Alan Sens here, and welcome to this segment on controlling fissile materials. So the whole idea of this segment is, what if we could come up with a way of controlling the amount of fissile material available in the world? And because that fissile material is necessary for the construction of nuclear weapons, maybe this might be a means to actually reduce proliferation and controlling arms races and so on. So let's have a look. So the learning objective for this segment is that by the time we're done, you should be familiar with the current issues facing efforts to control fissile materials. Now, when we talk about trafficking in radioactive materials, the best source of information for this is from the International Atomic Energy Agency, and in particular, a part of that agency called the Incident and Trafficking Database. And basically what they do is they track the amount of fissile material that is being illegally trafficked around the world. And this is a concern, and it is an issue. And so the best data for this comes from this particular database. And so what does that database tell us? Well, what it tells us is that from 1993, January, to December of 2015, there were a total of 2,889 incidents of trafficking in radioactive materials that were reported to the database. Of these, 454 involved unauthorized possession and related criminal activities, including illegal possession, movement, or attempts to illegally trade in or use nuclear material or radioactive sources. Most worrying for us in this course is that 16 of these incidents, 16 of the incidents in this category, involved highly enriched uranium or plutonium, fissile materials that can be used to build a bomb. Now, most of these involved gram quantities of fissile materials, but a couple of them did involve kilogram amounts, and so that's very worrying. So one of the challenges and concerns about controlling fissile materials is preventing their proliferation around the world, preventing actual fissile material that can be used to build a bomb from moving from point A to point B in the international system. So here's some data from the database. Just gives us a bit of a capture over time. So we have 1993 over here and forward through 2015 over here. This is confirmed incidents involving unauthorized possession and related criminal activities. And you can see that it's actually been a fairly steady problem. We look at couple of spikes here, maybe drop those out, and we kind of have a basic zone of between 10, say, to 25 on average incidents per year between the 1993 and 2015 period. Another category, theft or loss. So this is the theft or loss of nuclear material or radioactive sources from facilities or during transport. I don't know what in the world happened in 2006, but anyway, here we are from 1993 to 2015, and you can see there's been a fairly level amount of these kinds of incidents as well per year over time. Here's another category, other authorized activities and events. Incidents that are included in this group primarily involve various types of material recovery, such as the discovery of uncontrolled sources, the detection of materials disposed of in an unauthorized way, and detection of inadvertent unauthorized possession or shipment of nuclear or other radioactive material. Those are mistakes, basically. And if we look at the timeline here, 1993 through 2015, we see a fairly worrying rise in the number of these instances. And it just might be that that was due to more diligence and more recording of these kinds of incidents. But they've remained relatively high, at least since the mid-2000s. So all of this raises the question, can we find a way of controlling the spread, proliferation, unauthorized trafficking of fissile material around the world? And the biggest effort to try to do that has been in the form of something called a Fissile Material Cutoff Treaty. And it's not exactly a great title for a treaty, but the whole idea of an FMCT is to prohibit the production of highly enriched uranium and plutonium. So the whole idea here is just to freeze, stop production of fissile material that can be used to make bombs. Now, if we take a look at the global picture, according to the International Panel on Fissile Material, the global stockpile of highly enriched uranium in 2015 was 1,370 tons, plus or minus 125 tons, while the global stockpile of plutonium is about 500 tons. So two things from that. Number one, this is a lot of fissile material. And number two, plus or minus 125 tons. I mean, that's a big margin of error. I mean, plus or minus 125 tons of highly enriched uranium is a lot of nuclear weapons. So the fact is we actually don't know exactly how much highly enriched uranium and plutonium exists in the world. And that means that when some of it goes missing, are we going to notice? So the whole idea here with this proposed treaty is just to stop production. And that means you'll choke off supply. It doesn't mean that some of this isn't going to get out of the system, but at least it's a start. So current progress on this has not been encouraging. On the positive side, the United States, the United Kingdom, France, and Russia have all declared that they have stopped producing fissile material for nuclear weapons. So if we take them at their word, that's very encouraging. It's also believed that China has also stopped in '87 for highly enriched uranium and plutonium in 1991. So this is sort of the good news piece. If everyone's telling the truth, then the 5 declared nuclear powers no longer produce fissile material. The challenges, however, of course, is that under the NPT, while the non-weapon states are already prohibited from producing or acquiring fissile material for weapons, a fissile material cutoff treaty means that new restrictions will be placed on the 5 recognized nuclear weapon states and the 4 states that are not NPT members. So that's Israel, India, Pakistan, and North Korea. And the challenge, of course, right now is that there isn't agreement amongst those countries for moving forward. Pakistan has blocked the adoption of any program of work in the Conference on Disarmament because it will not agree to a fissile material cutoff treaty or even agree to negotiate without an agreement that include existing stocks of weapons-grade fissile material. So Pakistan wants countries that have large stocks of fissile material to agree to reduce those stocks before it agrees to stop producing fissile material itself. So that has really hamstrung the negotiations. And the result? Paralysis in the Conference on Disarmament. And there's been no real progress on negotiating a fissile materials cutoff treaty as a result. Okay, so I hope now that means that you're familiar with the current issues facing trafficking, first of all, in fissile materials, but also then efforts to control fissile materials. It has not yielded the hoped-for results. Okay, so this is not really a great news story, but when you think about all the arms control efforts in the world, attempts to try to control nuclear weapons, control delivery systems, and so on, the idea of trying to control fissile material has been pretty compelling because you need the fissile material to actually build nuclear weapons. So the idea here is a good one, but there just hasn't been the progress on it, and again, for political reasons. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you again soon.